Yeah, I think that might be the only way I can get it to show on my TV, which would actually be preferable than using my laptop. But I haven't figured out how to get Zoom on my TV yet.
So I'm just going to begin and introduce myself to all our participants. There'll be some on Facebook Live on the Yoga by the Sea webpage, and some participants on Zoom through Punch Pass. So for our participants on Zoom, we are interactive, so we have voice, and if there's going to be some noise in your background, it would be great if you could mute yourself. Otherwise, it'll be like a regular yoga class. And for those participants on Facebook, you can throw up a comment, or and I'll see it roll by on the screen, but I may not be able to interact with you during the class, only afterwards. So my name is Eileen Shackle, and I am a Yoga by the Sea alumni. I took my teacher training at Yoga by the Sea a couple of years ago, and today I'm subbing for April's flow class, morning flow class. So this is a 75-minute class, and I'm really happy to be here. Yoga by the Sea is my mothership, and I've been teaching in North Van for a couple of years now. Of course, that's all on hold, so just teaching on my own Facebook page. So I'm happy to sub for April, and I hope you enjoyed the class. So I'm going to remind you that this is your practice. It will probably be necessarily a little bit slower because we are on, we're not in person, we're on technology. So I'll be describing things a little bit better because I can't actually see you at the right angles to be able to correct your postures and things. So on that note, I'm just going to ask you to please modify. If you have props with you, please use your props accordingly. A blanket under your knees for sore knees, if that helps. Lots of blocks to prop yourself in positions where propping will help. And please remember that we're looking for our edge, but not to go over that. So essentially, your poses are to generate sensation, but not pain. So only you know where that edge is. So I'm going to encourage you to watch for that edge and not go past it, because that is where injuries occur. So on that note, let's come to a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you, and just close your eyes and quiet your mind. And for today, let's begin with a grounding practice. So have your palms turned downward on your thighs. Notice the points of your body that are touching the mat, and just spend a moment exploring those places, the nooks and crannies of your sits bones, how they're supporting you. Not trying to change anything, just exploring. Letting go of any tension, holding that you notice in that area. And then begin to travel slowly up your spine. Again, noticing if in your low back, your mid back, your shoulders, you're carrying any tension. And just release that if you can. Maybe give your shoulders a little roll and have your shoulder blades come positioned further down your back, opening your chest. And take a big inhale. And exhale with a sigh. Inhale again. And as you exhale, let go even more. Now begin to notice your breath, the inhale and the exhale. At first, without trying to change it, just noticing. And then, as you're noticing your breath, also notice if your mind is being distracted. And just gently invite it to come back to pay attention to your breath each time. So on the inhale and the exhale, begin to pay attention to the sensations. As you inhale, notice any temperature, sensation in your nasal passages, down your throat. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the expansion of your belly. And wherever you feel the most sensation, take your attention there for just a few rounds of breath. Now turn your attention to your exhale. Noticing the slight indrawing of the belly. Noticing the sound of your own breath and the warmth as it passes your lip. And in spite of the distractions that may be entering into your practice from the outside world right now, once again, notice them and let them go by like clouds in the sky, inviting your attention to come back to your breath. We're going to open the class this morning with one sound of Om. You're welcome to join me, or just let the vibration flow over you. And if you have an intention for this class, just let that intention silently enter your mind. For me, I intend to practice today with gratitude and have gratitude fill my day, both on and off the mat. So if you didn't have an intention coming to practice today and you'd like to borrow mine, I invite you to do that. So I'm going to inhale and exhale, and then inhale to Om. bring your hands together at heart center. And flutter your eyes open. Good morning. Let's begin. So we'll start in a seated position this morning. Let's just begin.
Eileen?
Yes?
Can I just ask you, as the host, you could go to participants and mute everyone so we don't have any ambient sounds from anyone?
Yes, unfortunately there's a little construction in the background from me. So you might hear some knocking from time to time.
Yeah.
I can't help that.
No, I understand.
It's done. You're muted. Okay. So for those that I can interact with, if you would like my attention, just give a wave, okay? Okay, so let's begin. Just ground for a second back into your seat. Inhale and exhale. And then extend through the crown of your head. Roll your shoulders down your back, opening your chest. Take your navel slightly towards your spine and a slight tuck of your tailbone. Sitting up tall. And then begin with small circles of your neck going in a clockwise direction, gradually having those circles become larger and larger. Just slowly. Don't worry about creaks or pops. They're quite normal. And if you find an area of holding or tension in your neck and you'd like to pause there and maybe give it a little bit of extra attention, moving back and forth over that area, feel free. And then when that feels complete for you, begin again with small circles, but in the opposite direction. Again, noticing any areas of holding or tension that you want to pay attention to or that are asking you to, and give them that attention. And then bring your head upright, extending through your crown, and just begin some shoulder rolls. Up, back, and down. And reverse direction of your shoulders. When that feels all complete, come to stillness and just change the position of your legs. If they're crossed, putting your other leg forward. And let's breathe our arms both open above our head. And just check your alignment. Are you extending through the crown, shoulders down your back, navel to spine, tailbone tucked slightly. And we're going to add a little dynamic movement here. So we're going to take our right hand forward and our left hand back, twisting towards the left on the exhale. And then inhale your arms up, come back to center. And on the exhale, twist the opposite way, opposite arms towards the right. And inhale up. And exhale, twist left. And just keep repeating this for a couple more rounds of your breath in your time. Just a nice gentle twist, beginning to warm the spine, And then return to center after your next exhale. And drop your right arm down to the side and extend up through your left and maybe over into a nice C curve, feeling the extension down the side of your body. And on your next exhale, drop that arm, extend the opposite one up towards the sky. Extending through your fingertips, grounding through your sits bone. And on the next exhale, bring that arm down, extend the other one forward or up. And exhale. And exhale, inhale. And exhale. And coming back to center again, let's come to our mats into a nice table position. So for table, we're going to have our palms on the mat under our shoulders, or just slightly forward if that's better for your body. We want to have our finger mounds into the mat, our fingers spread wide, our knees under our hips, and we're going to have a few cat-cows. So for cow, we're going to inhale, drop our belly, lift our chin, extend through the tailbone. And for cat, we're going to press into our finger pads, press into our knees, extend up through the back of our heart on the exhale. Inhale. Drop your belly, lift your crown, lift your tailbone. And exhale. Extend through the back of your heart. Now, as that feels good for you, just do a couple more rounds of cat-cow. If it's in your practice and you know, you might add a side cat. If your body is calling for a side cat, you may even do a few hip circles to begin to warm your hips. And reverse the opposite direction. I'm actually going to turn around so I can feel a little more at home and see you guys. Okay, so from table, we're going to tuck our toes. We're going to press into our finger pads, particularly our pointer finger and thumb mound. And we're going to just press into the mat and take our knees just a couple of inches from the mat and hover there for just a second. Nice flat back, navel to spine. And then we're going to extend our hips towards the sky, pressing back into our palms and extending our heels toward the floor into our first downward dog. And when you get into dog, just check your alignment. You want to have the elbows of your arms pointing mostly forward. You can pedal out your heels to give your calves a nice stretch. Nice little bend in the knees for our first downward dog, taking your hips higher towards the sky. You nod your head yes, nod your head no. And then come to stillness in your dog. Inhale, exhale. And then after your next exhale, on your inhale, begin to walk forward, bringing your feet towards your hands, hanging in a forward bend. And your arms may touch the floor, they may not. It's all okay. Wherever you are today, you can hold your forearms or your elbows. Have a generous bend in your knees for this forward bend, and just hang, turning your crown towards the floor. You can add a little movement if you like, maybe swaying in your forward bend. And then release your arms. Let them hang like a rag doll and begin to ragdoll up your spine, one vertebra at a time, leaving your head and neck to come up last and center themselves on top of your spine. So I'm going to turn to face you for a moment. So just close your eyes. Turn your palms forward, opening your chest. Take your shoulders down your back. Tuck your tailbone, navel to spine. This is Tadasana. We're going to start with a few breaths, breathing exercises. So breathe your arms open overhead. Forward fold. With a bend in your knees. Take your hands to your shins or your thighs. Come up to a flat back, figure 7. Exhale, back down into a forward fold. And then reverse swan dive, back to Tadasana. And hands down to your heart center. Let's repeat that a few more times with a few less cues. So breathe, open your arms up to the sky, look up. Swan dive down into a forward bend. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And hands down to heart center. And again, breathe your arms open overhead into Tadasana. Look up. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale. Figure 7. Exhale. Forward bend. Reverse swan dive. Up to Tadasana. And hands down to heart center. So let's add on to this as we begin into our first sun salutation. Breathe open up to Tadasana. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, figure 7. Exhale, forward bend. I'm going to turn sideways here. Step your right foot back, left foot forward into a low lunge, a runner's lunge. We're just going to stay here for a moment and breathe. On your next exhale, plant your palms and step your left foot back to join your right into a plank. You can take your knees to the floor if that works for you. And then with a straight spine, lower your chest down to the mat. Untuck your toes, feet flat on the floor. Take your palms a little lower on your chest, about to the nipple line. On the next inhale, roll your shoulders back and just lift your chest off the mat into Bhujangasana, Cobra. On your exhale, lower your chin to the mat. I'm going to repeat that a couple more times. Roll your shoulders back, inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, chin to mat. Inhale. Shoulders back, lift. Exhale. Chin to mat. From here, we're going to push into our palms and come up into table position. Tuck our toes and up into downward dog. We've been here already, so notice if this dog is a little bit different than your last dog. You can make this dynamic if you like. And on your next exhale, we're going to take our right foot and bring it towards our right fingers, right wrist, and help it if it needs some help to get there. And we'll find ourselves in a low lunge. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. And after your 3rd exhale, just step forward and have your left foot join your right, approximately hip width apart, hanging in a forward bend. Bend in the knees. And on your next inhale, come up to a figure 7. Flat back. Exhale, down, crown towards the floor. Inhale, arms to the sky, reverse swan dive up to Tadasana. Join your hands together, coming down the center line to your heart center. Okay, let's do that one more time. A few less cues this time. So breathe your arms open overhead. Exhale, swan dive down. Forward bend. Inhale, flat back, figure 7. Exhale, plant your palms, take your left foot back. You're in a runner's lunge with your left foot back. After your next exhale, plant your palms, take your right foot back to meet your left. You can stay in a traditional plank or take your knees to the floor. And on your next exhale, come forward just a bit and down to the mat with a flat back. Untuck your toes. Press your pelvis, tops of your feet into the mat. Take your hands just a little bit lower, about your nipple line. Roll your shoulders back, and you can come up into a low cobra or a high cobra. Exhale, down to the mat. Inhale, up again. Exhale, down to the mat. Inhale. Exhale, down to the mat. And press yourself up into table. Tuck your toes, press into your palms, take your hips to the sky, into down dog. Inhale. Exhale. Take your left foot forward. We're in a runner's lunge. Then step forward, right to meet your left, about hip width apart, hanging in a forward bend. Knees to shins, flat back, figure 7. Exhale. Inhale, reverse swan dive up to Tadasana. And then palms together. Coming down to heart center. Now just close your eyes for a moment and notice the energy you've generated in your body. Notice any sensation, any tingling, any warmth. Notice if you're breathing faster. Notice the uptrendedness of the energy and follow that with your attention and have the energy follow your attention, taking it towards the point between your eyebrows, your third eye center. And then flutter your eyes open and drop your hands. We'll do a warrior triangle series next, and we'll add some dynamic movements to make it a little more flowy. So come to the top of your mat with your feet about hip width apart. And then we're going to step 1 foot. It's hard for me to tell, like on some devices I'm reversed and some I'm not. So I'm just going to say 1 foot and then the other. So I hope you can follow me and forgive. I silenced everything, but I guess I didn't do it properly. Please forgive me. Okay, let's step 1 foot back. And for this, we're going to start with a warrior 2. So however you like your rear foot is fine. Some people like it on a 45-degree angle. Some people prefer it on a 90-degree angle. I actually prefer mine on a 90. So for a warrior 2, you want to have your hips sideways towards the long edge of the mat. Your forward knee will have a tendency to draw in. You want to encourage that knee outward, so that this forward hip is having a bit of a rotation. And then we're going to put a bend in our front knee, working towards a 45-degree bend, or a 90-degree bend, pardon me. And we're going to breathe our arms into a horizontal. And then we're going to turn and look over our forward fingers. And we'll just breathe here for a moment. Inhaling and exhaling. Noticing the heat this pose generates. Being grateful for your body, your warrior spirit in this moment. And then we'll add some dynamic movements. So we're going to exalt this warrior. So we'll take our rear hand down to our thigh and extend our forward arm up towards the sky and look up. And exhale and come back to a warrior 2. Let's do that again. Inhale up to exalted. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale up, exhale, warrior 2. So just straighten your front leg for a moment and we'll change positions. Let's turn our palms forward and extend into triangle. So for triangle, we're going to reach forward as far as we can with our forward hand, having a slight bend in our front leg, micro bend. And when we reach as far forward as we can, our rear hip going out towards the rear, we're going to rotate our palms towards the screen and just rotate our torso down and have our top arm extend up, our bottom arm land gently wherever it lands. For some it might be up high, some might be down lower, doesn't matter. The point is to extend through your upper arm. So this is triangle. It's a very narrow pose. And it works all these oblique muscles. So on your next exhale, you're going to lead with your upper hand and come back into a triangle. And then put that bend back into your forward leg, into a warrior 2. Now this time, to add some dynamic movement, we're going to use our front arm and come down to extended side angle. Just again, using your forward arm against your knee to encourage that outward motion and extending through your upper arm. On your next exhale, come back to a warrior two. Inhale, exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, extended side angle. And inhale, warrior two. And then we're going to straighten our front leg one last time and step forward. Whew, feel that burn in our front thigh. Okay, so I'm going to turn to the opposite side of my mat, so I'm facing you, and we'll do the opposite leg. So let's step back with our opposite leg. Again, position your feet however you like. They should be so your heel is approximately in your arch, and you want to put a nice 90-degree bend in your forward leg. Encourage that outward motion of your forward hip, and you want to press into your rear foot, pressing into the outer edge of your rear foot, and then extend your arms forward. Your arms are horizontal, you're looking over your front fingers. Warrior two, Virabhadasana two. And on your next exhale, drop your arm, your back arm, extend your forward arm towards the sky, extending out through your fingertips. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale, exalted warrior. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, exalted warrior. Exhale, warrior two. So from this warrior two, we're going to straighten our front leg, just leaving a micro bend in the knee. Extend out through our forward fingertips, reaching, reaching, reaching. Turning our palms forward to face the screen, and then dropping and rotating our torso, extending through our top hand, really working our upper side. Continue to breathe. Remind yourself of your intention and feel grateful for all that your body can do. On your next exhale, lead with your upper hand, extending out to bring yourself back upright. And then we're going to come back into our warrior two, putting that bend in our front knee, pressing through the outer edge of our rear foot. And we're going to take our elbow down towards our thigh, extending through our front arm into side angle, our top arm. Back to warrior two. Inhale, back to warrior two, and inhale, extended side angle, and back to warrior two. And from warrior two, we're just going to straighten our front leg and step forward, left to meet our right or right to meet our left, whichever you're working with. And let's just stand in Tadasana and close our eyes and feel the effects of those postures. Any swirling, any more heat that's been generated. So for this next pose, if you'd like to have your block nearby or a prop, I have a block. If you have a soup can at home, we're going to go into a pyramid pose. So just to give our the outer parts of our legs a bit of a sensation. So step back with one foot, a medium wide stance. And this time you want your feet on train tracks, not parallel or in one line to each other. So, and your rear foot should be about a 45-degree angle. You still want to press into the outer edge of your rear foot. And this time your hips are going to be squared to the short edge of your mat. So you can take a moment to square your hips towards the short edge of the mat. Now have your block nearby, and we're just going to lead from our heart, lead forward, and bend from our hip creases. So we want to have a very small micro bend in our front knee, but essentially the leg appears straight, and our back hip moves forward, our forward hip moves back to keep our hips square, and we're just going to bend forward here. And just go very, very slowly, as if you're adding hot water to a bath, feeling the sensation as it builds down your hamstring and gluteal outer thigh, until you come to a point where your body says stop. So if you find you need some support, that's fine. You can take your block and just hold yourself here. And then keep working that forward hip, your back hip forward and your front hip back. Keep moving those hips in that direction to keep your hips square towards the front edge of the mat. And continue to breathe here, and just notice if the sensation changes. And if the sensation does change for you, and you feel like you might like to add a little bit more hot water like you do to the bath, you can change the position of your block, or you can take your fingertips on either side of your forward leg. And then if you want to even add more, keeping your hips very square, you can drop your chest towards your forward leg. Continuing to breathe. And on your next exhale, take your hands to your hips, come up with a flat back to standing, and just step forward one foot to meet the other. Okay, so let's try that on the other side. So I'm going to step back with my opposite leg. And again, it's on a 45-degree angle, about train tracks apart. Slight bend in my forward leg, forward knee, and then I want to square my hips to the short edge of the mat. So my rear hip is moving forward, my front hip is moving back. And then I'm going to lead with my heart, bending up my hip creases, coming with a flat back forward until I feel sensation. And just notice if this side is different than the other side. For me, it definitely is. And when you feel the sensation that feels, like sensation to you, but not pain, just stop there and breathe. And again, you can use your prop if that works for you. And you may wish to add a little bit more sensation. Or not. Notice any shaking. Notice your mind if it's distracting you. And just bring your attention back to here and now on your mat. And after your next exhale, Inhale, back up to standing. And just step forward, right foot to meet the left. Okay, so we'll go into a wide leg forward bend. So I have 2 mats here, so I'm going to do this facing you. So take one foot out and the other foot out into a wide leg. A wide leg is whatever is comfortable for you, but fairly wide, 3 feet or so. And you want to have your toes turned in slightly, heels out slightly, just to protect your knees. And again, you can have your hands on your hips to begin. And the principle of this is fairly the same. We're going to be bending from our hip creases, slight bend in our knees, pressing into our feet, and just coming down with a flat back. You can have your prop nearby again, because we'll stay here for a bit once we get down. So just come leading from your heart, flat back, bending at the hip creases. Just until you feel the sensation that feels appropriate for you today. And when you get there, you might take your prop and just hold on to it, giving yourself some support. And with that slight bend in your knees, you might bring your weight a little bit forward into your toes and then a little bit back, just exploring the different sensations that causes in this forward bend. And if you notice after a little dynamic movement that the sensation becomes different and you'd like to add a little more, again, you can change the position of your block, making it flatter. And again, bending with a flat back, coming a little lower into this forward bend, adding a little more hot water to your bath. Now you can stay here if you like, or you can continue to go lower, or you might add a little bit of dynamic movement in a pose called Skandasana. So you could bend one knee and extend out, pressing into the heel of the other foot if you like. And then come back into the wide leg forward bend, bending the other knee, extending and flexing the foot on the other side. Skandasana. And then coming back into the wide leg. Now to come out of this wide leg forward bend, you can press on the floor or on your prop until your torso comes up to about horizontal with the floor. And then press into your feet, take your hands to your hips, and come to standing with a flat back. And from here, we're going to heel toe our feet back together until we're standing in a mountain pose. And we might want to just breathe our arms open, palms forward, close our eyes, extend through the crown of our head, roll our shoulders back, navel to spine, tucking our tailbone, slight bend in the knees. And just feel all the energy you've generated in your practice thus far in the form of sensation, vibration, temperature. And then flutter your eyes open. Our last standing poses will be balancing poses. So if you have a favorite balance in your practice that you'd like to do today that is different than the one I'm going to lead, I'm just going to lead tree pose. By all means, do your favorite balance. So for tree pose, we're going to press into one foot, taking the weight onto that foot that we're pressing into. And we're going to take the other foot and we're going to turn it perpendicular so that the heel is about at the arch of the other foot and it's perpendicular. So this turns our hip in an outward rotation. And that may be enough for you today, just balancing in that way, and that's fine. Balance is different every day and certainly right now. So if you'd like to go a little farther, you can just take your heel up above your ankle, leaving your toe on the floor, and notice how that changes your balance. And if that's enough for you today, that's great. Just bring your hands to heart center and just stay here in balance. This will be strengthening your standing ankle. If you'd like to go a little farther, you can take your foot up onto your calf, keeping your eyes focused on one point, never over your knee. And if it's in your practice, you can take the sole of your foot right up into your thigh. And just breathing here. And if you'd like to extend your branches, by all means, extend your branches up towards the sky, opening your heart, maybe even looking up to challenge your balance. And if you fall out, don't worry, just come back in. And when that feels complete for you, just bring your hands back down towards your heart center. Turn your outward knee forward and step down. Inhale, exhale, let go of that pose, and let's move on to the other side. So again, we'll take our weight into the opposite side, turn our foot perpendicular with our heel approximately at our arch. And that may be enough. You can take your hands to heart center here, or you can just raise your heel above your ankle, leaving your toes on the floor. Or onto your calf. And inhale and grow your branches up towards the sky. Maybe even a slight arch in your back while you look up. And notice your branches if they're swaying in the wind. Trees do that. That's absolutely fine. And then exhale your hands back to heart center. Turn your knee forward and step down into Tadasana. Wonderful. So we're going to start moving towards the floor now. And I'm going to do Malasana, a squat, and I'm going to do it supported with my block. So I'll lead that. If Malasana is not in your practice, just go to a comfortable seat and take this time to add any movement that you want into your practice. So for Malasana, we want to have our feet about hip width apart with our toes turned out. And we're just going to breathe our arms open overhead and begin to come down into a squat. And we can stop part way here and just feel what that feels like in our body today. And if your prop is nearby, you can take your prop and position it so that your tailbone will land on your prop. And then just continue on down towards the mat with your tailbone, bending at your knees. And when you get into a nice Malasana, you can use your elbows on either knee and take your hands into Anjali Mudra at your heart and use your elbows to press your knees apart. And take your crown towards the sky. chest as upright as possible, navel to spine, and tuck that tailbone. And just close your eyes and breathe here for a moment. And flutter your eyes open. And take your hands to the mat to support yourself and just come down into a seated pose with your legs extended in front of you. Okay. We're just going to do a couple of seated bends here. So just remove any flesh from your sits bones. You can sit on a blanket if you need a little bit of elevation under your hips. So you want to have your tailbone grounding, your sits bones grounding into the mat. And then sit up tall, roll your shoulders back, and flex your feet so your toes are pointed towards the sky. And just begin to bend from your hip creases and walk your hands down your legs until your body says stop, and only you know where that is. And when you get there, just stop, close your eyes and breathe and feel. Feel the sensation wherever it is for you. And notice if it changes. And if it does, and you want to today, you may walk a little bit further. But forward bends are about feeling the sensation that's good for you today and not going past your edge. They're not about your chin on your shin. So after your next exhale, begin to slowly walk yourself back up towards sitting upright. And now let's do the same pose but with our legs wide. So let's take our legs about 60 to 70 degrees, almost like when we did that wide leg forward bend. That wide leg forward bend on when we were standing. So again, we want to flex our toes so they're coming towards us and press into the heels, and then just again begin to walk forward. If you have your prop nearby, when you get to where your body says stop, you may just want to place your forearms on your prop and just breathe. Inhaling and exhaling, closing your eyes and taking your attention to the sensations that are happening in your body. Noticing if your mind continues to be distracted and gently inviting it to come back to this moment and to where you're guiding it to be here on the mat. And if you feel the need to add more sensation, please do. And after your next exhale, begin to walk yourself back upright. And while we're in this wide leg forward bend, let's take our arm on one side and place it with our palm up on the inside of our leg, using it for leverage against our leg. Let's turn our bellies towards our toes on the opposite side and breathe one arm overhead, extending through our fingertips, grounding through our sits bones. and maybe even extending over into a C curve. Continuing to breathe. And on the exhale, coming back upright. Taking the other arm and repeating on the other side, palm face up, using it on the inside of your extended leg. Breathing your other arm overhead. Grounding through your sits bones, extending through your fingertips, and maybe coming over into a C curve. And on your next exhale, coming back upright and bringing both your feet in, taking your soles together, and maybe your butterfly pose is a diamond shape today, and that's absolutely fine. You can prop your thighs if that is in your practice. If you have it in your practice, you can begin to bring your feet a little closer to your groin. You want to make sure you're not grabbing your feet. You don't want to twist your ankles. You can hold on to your shins and use your forearms to just press into your thighs and open up your groin, sitting up tall, navel to spine, extending through the crown of your head. This is butterfly pose or cobbler's pose. And then take your hands and help your knees to come back to center. And we're going to come down slowly, as slow as you can, onto our backs, taking your navel to your spine, tucking your tailbone. And when you get down onto your back, both feet flat on the floor, knees bent. Bring your feet close to your butt, close to your glutes. And just reach down on either side with your fingers and see if you can feel your heels. Ideally, you want to be able to feel your heels for this pose. We're going to be going into bridge pose. So for this bridge, I'd like you to roll your shoulders down your back, so you're putting your shoulder blades into your jeans pockets, and bend your elbows, pointing your fingertips towards the sky. And then we're going to press into both feet, press our knees forward, and gradually peel our sacrum and our tailbone off the ground, lifting our hips towards the sky, pressing our pelvis up towards the sky, pressing our knees forward, squeezing our gluteal muscles, pressing into our elbows and our feet. And just breathe here for a moment. We'll hold this pose. Just give our glutes a little squeeze. Of course, you could come down anytime you're ready. And if you're still with me, gradually, one vertebra at a time, beginning from the top, lower your spine down to the floor. And bring both knees into your chest, holding your shins and squeezing yourself up into a nice little ball. And then releasing to the mat. Let's take our extending one leg and take our hand on the extended leg side over to the other knee. Extend our arm with the bent knee out into a T position. And let's draw the bent knee across our body into a nice easy twist. And when you get into that twist, you could turn and look out over your extended T arm. And just breathe here, winding down our practice. And after your next exhale, coming back to center, extending that leg, bending the other, taking your opposite arm to your knee, extending your arm out into a T position, bringing your knee across your body into an easy twist on the opposite side, turning and looking over your extended arm. Focusing your attention on your breath and breathing your breath into all that you feel. And after your next exhale, returning to center and extending both legs the width of the mat, flopping them open, letting go of any effort, any doing. Taking your arms slightly out from your side, palms up, maybe making yourself supremely comfortable as we settle down into that omnipresent force of gravity, that energy that is always available in our lives that we never think about. It holds us to the earth. So just surrender to gravity now and let yourself sink into the mat, giving up all your practice. Releasing all that's happened. Begin to breathe life back into your body. Maybe roll your fingers and toes, roll your wrists and ankles. And when you're ready and in your own time, make your way onto one side for a few breaths, taking your time, and then coming to join me in a comfortable seated position. with your eyes closed. Take a moment to remember the reason you showed up on the mat today, your intention. Thank your body for all its hard work. And notice how soft your breath is, how relaxed your body is, and how quiet your mind has become. And be grateful. Thank you for joining me today. Jai Bhagwan, Namaste. I'll be subbing again for April next week, and then she'll be back the following week. So again, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Eileen.
My pleasure.
I just wanted to make you aware there were little bells ringing, like especially towards the end of the practice.
Yes,
Little.
I believe I silenced my phone, or I thought I had, but apparently I had not. So, yeah,
Okay.
I'll make sure and do that next time. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye-bye.